Let's recap day one of my cruise on Celebrity Beyond. I got to the airport at 3 in the morning for my 5 a.m. flight because I'm always one of those risk takers who flies in the morning of a cruise just to save a couple $100s. Since I landed so early, I had to wait at the airport for a couple hours before I could head to the port to board. But once I arrived to the port, it quite literally took me less than 10 minutes to get from my lift onto the ship. Very efficient boarding process. Since this was actually not a solo cruise for me and I was the first of 11 family members who would be on board, I took my time to wander around the ship for a few before grabbing my first drink of the cruise. I wasn't sold on the atmosphere of that particular bar, so I ventured onward to find something more my vibe, and I ended up finding it almost immediately. Eden became my sanctuary, but more on that later. Let's just admire the beautiful details in every corner of this ship. I eventually made my way to my room, which was a studio veranda stateroom designed for solo travelers, but still featuring an infinite veranda. I dropped off my backpack, but had to run back up to the resort deck so that I wouldn't miss sail away. I met up with my mom and brother in the serene solarium and enjoyed the drink of the day, but then we wanted to get in on more of the action and visited the very windy magic carpet for an official sail-away cocktail. I then made a pit stop to visit the rest of the family in the conversation pit by the elephant, which would become the family daytime hangout spot for the rest of the week. And then quickly headed back to the room to unpack at warp speed, but look at my cute and cozy travel blanket, before also getting ready for dinner at warp speed. I went to dinner in the Tuscan dining room, one of the few times I would dine with everyone else, and then visited the Grand Plaza for some nightly bartender flair, which made you feel like you're in a fancy version of cocktail. But by this point, my 1 hour of sleep was wearing off and I was hitting a wall. So I opted to grab a whiskey on the rocks that they literally filled all the way up and retire to my room for the evening. But hey, not bad for a first day on almost no sleep. Stay tuned for day 2.